a gray and sort of overcast morning here in California, and having a bit of a slow start this morning. So I thought we would work a little bit on upper back and shoulders and opening the side body. So really working on sort of the full circumference of the chest and back, opening up the lungs and just kind of opening up to the present moment, allowing any kind of, to sound a little hokey, any kind of sort of messages from the universe to kind of come in. On sort of gray days like this, I like to kind of be a little bit more kind of grounded and connected. Feels a little bit more like I want to like cozy up and close in. So we're going to start seated. I have a couple of props this morning. We're going to use a couple of lacrosse balls, tennis balls work, or just, any dog balls, which sounds really odd, but, like tennis balls. And then a pair of blocks, and I'm sitting on a blanket. I've got a little bit of tea, and just to start out, we're going to just come to sit. So however you'd like to get settled on your mat, feel free to just find a kind of a comfortable seat. And if you have a beverage of choice, just feel free to take a sip throughout. And what I'd like you to do is just maybe gently close your eyes or lower your gaze and start to kind of meet yourself where you are. Just start to settle in. Notice what your breath is doing. Notice what your body's doing. Notice how your breath comes in and moves out. And notice what the connection of your body to the mat, to the earth is like. Maybe it feels a little bit, for me, it feels a little bit disconnected. I don't feel quite as connected as I generally tend to like. And this morning I actually do kind of have this knot at the sort of right in that middle of the back space where, like right at the back of the heart. And we're going to work a little bit on opening that up. So as you breathe and just notice where you are, maybe first send your attention, send your breath into that spot that's sort of like, oh, hey, I'm feeling this thing today. I'm feeling this sensation. See if you can just allow the breath to move into those tissues right in that space. And for me, it's literally like right in that spot that you can't reach when you reach back to like scratch your back. So just take a couple breaths here. And then just slowly open your eyes. And we're just going to start by kind of mobilizing the neck here. So go start to drop your right ear towards your right shoulder and then your left ear towards your left. And you may get some cracks. You may get some like twingy stretches. Just kind of notice. Go left and right. You can go slowly or quickly. You can keep your eyes closed or open. I'm kind of liking the sensation of keeping them closed. It deepens that sensation of rocking, which can help kind of relax the body. And I'm keeping my palms face down here. If it feels good, it changes the sensation of the stretch, but you can turn your palms up. But for me, I want them to kind of be down. And we'll do one more on each side. So here's one. And here's two. And then just go ahead and come back up to center. We're going to do a little bit of a back of the neck stretch here. So you're going to take your hand and make kind of this L shape with it and take it to your chin. Now this is called a chin tuck. You can do it on the floor, laying down. You can do it sitting up. My favorite time to do it is when I'm sitting in the car with that headrest behind me. especially if my shoulders and my neck are tight. So all you're going to do is take that L shape, right, that soft part of your thumb and your index finger right to the chin, and you're just going to kind of push it back and give yourself this nice double chin, which is going to essentially lift the back of the head up. And you may feel a little bit of a stretch through those front scalenes. You can also just use 2 fingers and press against your chin to press back. So just press and release about 5 times, however you'd like to get there. And you can use whichever arm feels good. This really tends to elongate the sides of my neck, the back of my neck. And then go ahead and release. And from here, we're just going to take our hands off to the right side. If you're sitting on that blanket, go ahead and slide it out. Just place it kind of behind you. Take your hand off to the side, to the right side. You're going to stack your knees here. And what I'd like you to do is just kind of let your ribs sink down towards the mat. So I'm actually letting instead of pressing the shoulder down and away from my ear, I'm letting my shoulder kind of sink. And I'm going to kind of just rock forward and back. And we're just going to start small here. We're just going to rock a little bit forward and back. Kind of moving the heart towards the long side of the mat and then back. And if you'd like to take your left hand down, you can do that. Notice what that may feel like, especially into the back of the shoulders. And then from here, go ahead and come down onto your elbow. You can turn the palm down or turn the palm up. And sorry for the noise, the construction is going on next door. You're just going to continue that rocking forward and back with your chest. Just again, kind of lowering and letting that shoulder sink, right? So opening up the ribs, letting the ribs sink towards the earth. And see if you can breathe into that right shoulder blade. And once you've kind of done a little bit of this rocking, we're just going to come down all the way onto our right side. Take your hand under your head. Let those right ribs just kind of sink. Maybe tuck your chin a little bit more towards your chest instead of sort of lifting it up. And here, see if you can just breathe into that right side and let the weight of the rib cage slide down. I'm kind of taking a little bit of slow movement this morning, just a little bit of kind of less active stretching, more of like the passive working with gravity kind of stretching. We are going to move a little bit here in just a second, but this is more of like just letting stuff kind of settle down. So we're working into the side body here. We're working into the side of the heart. And as you breathe, see if you can really feel the expansion of your right lung into the rib cage. And we'll take a few breaths here, just kind of letting everything settle down. Sometimes it takes a minute for the body to kind of be like, okay, I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm here. I'm going to just let gravity take hold. Even if if you're like me and you just got up like 45 minutes ago or so, your body is still kind of activated, and allowing gravity to kind of take hold, letting it settle in can really be helpful. And once you've taken those few breaths, you're going to take that top leg, so that right leg, and reach it out to bisect your mat. So reaching it out towards the middle of the room. I'm actually going to move back a little bit here, but reaching it out to bisect your mat, and you may feel a stretch into the back of your hamstring. And then you're going to just take that bottom leg and you're going to scooch it kind of back towards that lower back corner of your mat. So you're kind of in this L shape with the legs. And then from here, you can take your hand out from under your head, and you're going to take your left fingertips to your left shoulder and just start to let that left shoulder blade kind of drop. Now, I'm running into the wall here, so I'm going to move back forward just a little bit. But see if you can get the back of that left shoulder blade to come down onto the mat. Keeping those fingertips on that left shoulder, twisting through the belly, taking a nice deep breath. And then from here, we're going to move a little bit. So you're going to roll back onto your side, reach that top leg back, reach the top fingertips forward, maybe roll the chest more towards the earth. So you're stretching through the front of this left hip flexor up into the armpit. And then you're going to roll back. Let that back shoulder blade touch. So left shoulder blade to or towards the floor. And then inhale and reach forward. So you're just kind of reaching forward and back. And you can move with whatever rhythm you want. You can move slowly. You can kind of hang out in one spot if it feels good. A little bit of cross-lateral movement, a little bit of opening up through the chest and the side body. We'll do 2 more of those. So here's one, and I'm kind of moving really slowly this morning, so you can choose to move how you feel. And here's number 2. And I'm just going to hang out with that left leg extended out and my left shoulder blade moving back. So see if you can kind of relax into this shape. See if you can release any holding in this shape, especially as it pertains to the back side of your heart. If you want, you can take your right elbow and press down into the mat to just kind of shift your chest more towards the ceiling. And then from here, just gently roll over to your side. Come back into that side lying position. You can stack your knees once again. And all we're going to do is do a little cat pulling tail. So this is actually more of a yin pose, but this also will help kind of open up the chest. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that bottom knee, that right knee, and you're going to bend it back behind you. So I'm not sure if you can see my foot here. It's back behind my hip. I'm going to take my top arm, reach down, maybe grab the top of my foot, maybe grab my toe, maybe just grab my pants, whatever I can grab. And then I'm just going to start to let my chest kind of open towards the sky. Maybe let my head come back. Maybe draw my right knee more up towards my chest. And if you feel like this is too much stretch, especially across the top hip, you can always take that blanket or a block and prop that front knee up just a little bit. Give yourself a little padding, give yourself a little bit of movement of the floor up towards you so that it can just be a little bit more comfortable. So breathe into the rib cage, breathe into especially the right lung that's being stretched and opened and the left lung that's being slightly compressed. You may notice that as your left shoulder blade wraps around, you're kind of getting into that one spot that may feel a little tight. For me, I'm feeling that sensation there. And we'll take 2 more deep breaths here. And then when you're ready, go ahead and release. And you're just going to roll over to your right side. Take a moment here if you'd like to prop your head up or if you'd like to let your ear rest on your shoulder, you can do that. But just take a moment here to kind of let the muscles kind of readjust, let everything kind of resettle. And then you're just going to roll your chest more towards the floor, start to walk your hands back and come on up to sit. And as you come on up to sit, if you need to sort of take a moment to kind of reorient to gravity, feel free. And then here, you're going to take your right shin in front of your left. We're going to come to sit, but we're going to do a little bit of like a dip thing here. So this is one of my favorite moves. Like I said, if you have your beverage of choice, feel free to take a sip of it anytime. And what we're going to do is take our left hand to our right knee. And you can either see if you can grab to the right outside of the knee, but I'm just going to grab sort of the top. Bend your right elbow, point it towards the sky, take your hand behind your head, and you're just going to start to dip very gently your left shoulder towards your left knee. So again, working into that right lung, reaching that right elbow towards the sky, letting that right hip sink as you dip your shoulder. And I'm liking the inhale on the lift and the exhale on the drop. So whatever feels good to you, whatever kind of meets your body where you are this morning. You can close your eyes, or I've been finding that I like kind of looking down towards my knee. If you want, you can give a look towards the ceiling and see how that feels. And we'll do 2 more. Here's 1. And here's 2. And then come back to center and just let your hands land on your legs or on your body. If you'd like to take one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly. Maybe close your eyes and just notice kind of what it feels like from left to right. For me, I actually feel a very distinct kind of difference between my left and right side. I feel like more warmth on my right side. So just noticing kind of what is coming up and noticing kind of how the shoulders feel, how the neck feels from left to right. I'll take a couple breaths here. And then when you're ready, you're just going to come down onto your left side. So I'm going to migrate my drink to the opposite side of the mat. And take your left hand down, stack your knees. And here, kind of scooch your hip down and away from your left hand. So kind of like you're trying to extend the side body. And so I mentioned I was getting warm, so I'm going to take off my sweatshirt. And as you let that left hip kind of sink down, just start to kind of move the chest forward and back. If you'd like, you can take that right hand in front of the hip. Just think of it like, you're trying to like emulate like Cleopatra or something. You're just like in this like real like loungy kind of pose. But you can move forward and back. Either let your chest kind of glide slightly forward. Mine kind of comes at an angle, kind of up and forward and back and down. But whatever shape, whatever movement kind of feels right, feel free to kind of move that way. And then we're going to go ahead and come down onto that left elbow. Maybe walk your left elbow out so that it's more underneath your shoulder, but so that you're getting like a nice extension into the left ribs. And here, just pause for a moment. Let those left ribs slide down towards the earth. And then just start to kind of rock forward and back. And here, like, let the heart space move down. Like you're trying to kind of stretch into the back body. You're not trying to keep this left shoulder away from the ear. You're not pressing yourself up. You're actually like letting yourself sink. And then once you've done that, you're just going to come down onto your side. Take your left hand underneath your head. Really reach that left elbow up towards the top of your mat. Maybe keep your gaze kind of more down in front. And you're going to take that top leg and you're just going to take it out straight in front of you and let it bisect that mat. And they're going to take that bottom leg, that right leg, and just kind of scooch it back towards that back corner. And take your right fingertips to your right shoulder. And then go ahead and just let that right shoulder blade drop down towards the earth. I'm adjusting my props. I have a lot of things going on this morning. So just let that right shoulder blade kind of come to drop, or as close to drop as possible. If you find that, you're really floating off the mat, you can always grab your blanket or a block and just place it underneath that shoulder blade as a little bit of support. And I'm actually going to get my blanket for that just because that's what kind of feels right. I want a little support there. I want a little softness. And then we're going to start to move. So here you're just going to start to roll forward. Let your right fingertips come down. Let your right leg go back. Roll your chest towards the earth. And then you're going to reach back, knock things over. Let that right shoulder blade drop. See, now I knew there was a reason I moved my drink. This was because I was going to knock it over if I did this move. So just continue to move forward, back with that shoulder, and forward and back in the opposite direction with that top leg. And you may find that as you move, your twist becomes more open. Maybe more of your elbow, more of the back of your arm, more of the back of your heart starts to reach towards the mat. You can move again slowly or quickly. We'll do 2 more. So I'm moving kind of slowly here, and that's okay. So here's 1. And then here's number 2. And then we're just going to come back to our side and come back up to rest on the elbow. Again, let those left ribs kind of sink. Maybe take your chin a little bit more towards your chest. You'll feel a stretch into the back of the neck. See if you can just let gravity take hold and kind of do the work for you here. And then we're going to come into that cat pulling tail. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your bottom leg, your left leg, and you're going to scooch it back behind your right. And once again, if you feel like you need a little support, you can use a block underneath that right knee. You can also use a blanket if that feels good. For me right now, I have a block, so I'm going to go with it. Then you're going to reach down with your right hand and see if you can find your left foot and grab a hold of it. It can be just the big toe, it can be the ankle, it can be the pants, it can be whatever you can grab. And then we're just going to let that back of the right shoulder blade kind of dip down. So big twist here. And feel free to make whatever adjustments you might need. If you feel like your block's not on its high enough setting, if you feel like you need more padding, just make whatever change you need. See if you can kind of soften into any holding, any kind of tension. So like I'm really holding, I'm gripping into the outer edge of my right hip. So as I breathe, I'm just going to try and soften that. Back of my head is softening towards the earth. Back of my shoulder blade is not on the earth at all, but I'm constricting the blood flow in between my shoulder blades in that place where I'm really feeling that sort of tension. And it feels pretty good. We don't necessarily have to put like direct pressure on a place to release it. So the idea here is to release all the muscles around it, to offer up some good blood flow, to get things kind of moving, so that then when we do go into that space, it will release, or it will at least soften. Sometimes these knots, sometimes these spaces don't want to release, and that's okay. It's just a matter of time and blood movement. Even though it's frustrating to kind of put in the work and think, oh gosh, why am I not feeling better? It'll come. Go ahead and come back to center, stack your knees. Once again, let those ribs sink down. Notice any kind of difference that you feel. And then gently roll your shoulders more towards the earth. Go ahead and press yourself up to sit. I have made quite a mess of all my props. Everything's kind of everywhere, but that's okay. We're going to take our left shin in front of our right and just kind of reorient to gravity for a second here. Take a sip of your drink. And then we're going to do a little bit of that dipping movement. So you're going to take your right hand to your left knee or left shin, whatever you want to grab. You're going to take your left hand behind your head, elbow towards the sky, and start to dip that right shoulder. And again, I'm liking the kind of exhale on the down, inhale on the up. But you can play with it. You can play with whatever rhythm kind of feels good. If you're like, oh, what if I inhale on the way down and exhale on the way up? See what that feels like. I'm going to do 2 more. And then go ahead and come back to center. Take your hands back to your legs or onto your body, however you feel. Roll your shoulder blades down and away from your ears. Let the crown of your head lift towards the sky. And now just notice if you feel a little bit more even, if you feel any kind of change, if you've noticed sort of that similar left to right warmth. And we're going to take our blanket and just roll it up into a long, relatively skinny blanket roll. So I like to just kind of unfold it and then turn it into this long, relatively skinny roll. And what we're going to do is place that long, skinny roll down the middle of our mat. And I'm actually going to turn so the tassels are towards my pelvis. That way, this provides kind of a nice little like ramp for me to sit on. And then we're going to turn our backs to that blanket roll. I'm going to once again move my drink so I don't end up with sticky water all over the room. Walk your pelvis back so that you're sitting just on the tassel end of your blanket. And then you're going to just lay yourself down onto that blanket roll like it's a second spine. And once you come into this spot, what I'd like you to do is just go ahead and if it's accessible to you, take your hands behind your head, let your elbows drop wide. You'll notice that your shoulder blades will come together and kind of pinch around either side of that blanket roll. Let your head rest back. My head is resting on my blanket. If yours is not, that's okay too. It'll just open the throat slightly more. And here, just maybe kind of put a little bit of pressure into one foot and the other so that your hips start to kind of shift left and right. So we're starting with kind of a lower level massage, lower level opening. We're going to move through some of the more, I don't want to use the word aggressive, but like more firm. There we go. More firm opening. If you want, you can shrug your shoulders, take a deep breath, maybe take a stretch, let those armpits and that side body open again, kind of working into that 3-dimensional space all around the chest, all around the heart. And then here, if you want a bit more of an opening, see if you can maybe take your hands out to a T. Let the shoulder blades wrap down around that blanket and continue to just kind of shift the hips left and right, rocking on that blanket. Take a couple of breaths. And then whenever you're ready, you can just extend your legs out long and just come into a resting Shavasana. If you need a stretch, if you need to move, if you need to make an adjustment, feel free to do that. but just kind of let the body settle into whatever shape it needs right now. And as you let that body settle in, just see if you can breathe into the back of that heart space. See if you can send your breath into that spot where that magic little tennis ball was sitting previously. See if you can soften with each breath. See if you can feel the support of the earth, the support of the ground beneath your back, beneath your heart. Just know that being patient and giving space and giving time and giving a little nice, tender self-love, self-care here and there can really be beneficial to helping us reconnect, to helping us sort of listen to what the universe has to tell us. And that heart space is really crucial in that, both the front and the back. You know, we often think about our heart space only occupying the front of our chests, but in reality, it's this three-dimensional thing. It takes up space vertically, horizontally, and front to back. We aren't paper dolls, as much as sometimes we feel like we are. So once you've taken a moment here, just allowing the breath to kind of move, allowing the back of the heart to rest, to open. Just slowly begin to deepen your breath and invite waves of movement back into your body. You can start to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, and maybe gently just turn your head from one side to the other. And then when you're ready, just go ahead and take a nice, long, good morning stretch. Notice any kind of like good feeling cracks or crackles or creaks that come up. And then just gently roll over to your left or your right side. And pause for a moment on your side. Just welcoming in any kind of shift, any kind of universal message that might be coming through now that we've kind of cracked open that three-dimensional heart space. And then gently roll your shoulders more towards the earth and press down to sit up and find an easy seat. And once you find that easy seat, just kind of connect to the earth by tugging the flesh out from beneath your pelvis, allowing that pelvis to sink down as your spine reaches up. And for a moment, just draw your shoulders up towards your ears, roll them down and away, open your heart, maybe bow your head just slightly towards your chest. And then take your hands to heart center. Let the thumbs rest against your sternum, the place where your heart lives. And feel your sternum lift back up into your thumbs. Go ahead and bow your head towards your heart. And just acknowledge what's here, what's happening, what you're feeling. And all of the love and light in me bows to and honors all of the love and light in each one of you. Thank you so much for joining me for Yoga for Normal People today. Enjoy the rest of your day.